white milk.
Well, hello out there, and welcome to the Holy Hour Podcast, the All Cure bi-weekly podcast. It is here, the year 2020, and we finally have the full gang. Welcome out there, and welcome Donald and Chaz. How's it going, fellas?
It's going all right.
It's going great.
We finally wrangled everybody up to kick this year off.
Donald, you sound enthused, man.
Man, they let the bad boy off the moon.
You're off the moon.
I'm back.
We figured because it's a special Unplugged episode that we were going to have Donald come back or into a new area away from the moon, an acoustic room you're in now, right? You're unplugged.
I had to sell all my space weed to
You're
get
going
back
back.
home.
You'll go back,
And-
though.
I mean, if anyone has like an eighth or whatever, like hit me up. I mean,
Fair enough, but it's good to have you back for now, at least, until we send you back, until that album comes out. We figured,
I'm ready to go back. I'm ready to go
All
back.
right, we'll give you a
It's
little,
my duty.
R&R. This is your little bird. How's it going up there? It's been pretty rough, I bet, huh?
No, it was pretty chill, man. I just listened to.
Japanese Whisper. So.
Disintegration on cassette.
Yeah.
It's weird. I actually listened to the new record because, like,
Oh,
I was up
shit.
there like 2 moon years to like a
Okay.
regular Earth year. So
I didn't know
I'm
time
not-
worked that way,
I
but
don't
that's
thi- yeah.
cool.
yeah,
You
it
got
does.
Yeah.
It does.
It's the future on the moon.
Yeah.
Okay.
Moon years versus
guess
Earth years,
I-
man.
Guess I've never been up there, so I can't really call you out
Yeah.
on that. But
You don't know. You don't know.
okay, cool.
But
cool.
Is Australia still on fire, and is Donald Trump still
Yeah,
our
because
president?
down here on Earth, it's taken about 4 days for the whole new year to go to shit. Apparently, Australia's on fire, and we're about
Yeah,
to go
we're
to
dick
war.
deep in World War III. Australia's on
Yeah.
fire. The Cure's record's great. But
well, you know, 1 out of 3 is a pretty good batting percentage in baseball.
Yeah, whatever it takes, right? We gotta get this album. Shit.
But,
Well, yeah.
yeah,
well,
moon years, man.
Yeah, we might be going with you to the back
Yeah,
to the
come-
moon at this point.
Come back.
It might be the only way out. So, wasn't Richard Branson? Was he a moon
Yeah, he's-
dude? Was he like?
The guy that did
Yeah.
Virgin Airlines or whatever? Is that who you're talking
Yeah,
about?
or am I just mixing it up with the flights, or was he like one of the dudes?
He's
that
one
was,
of the
like,
dudes,
trying to go to
yeah.
the moon and stuff for
Yeah.
fun.
It's like,
I think so.
Yeah. Well, maybe they're still in with him because of the whole like Wish stuff.
it's
Yeah.
like him, the Holy Hour podcast,
Yeah,
Elon
There you
Musk.
go.
right?
Yeah.
So we're in. All right. Well, we're not going to the moon for this episode, my friends. We're what we're gonna do is we're gonna get back to the old Holy Hour time machine. We haven't done that in a while, so we're gonna go a little back in time to a much more peaceful era. The MTV Unplugged Cure episode from 1991. But before we dive into that, I figured we'd even do a little reminiscent of, first off, MTV. You guys remember that?
Hell yeah.
Remember that channel that played music videos on it?
They have,
Wait,
they have,
what?
They have
They
MTV
play
Classic now that
Oh,
I
yeah.
watch quite often.
Yeah.
Like if there's
that's-
nothing to watch at night, I put that shit on and I'll watch like
Oh,
MTV.
you have it?
MTV
Yeah.
Rap or they usually have the Metal Mayhem and
Yeah,
like the
occasionally we'll
House
stay
of
at a
Pop.
hotel or Airbnb because we don't have the good cable, I guess. But they have that, right? Because it
Yeah.
used to be like VH1 Classic or something. Now I guess it's MTV Classic that actually
Yeah.
shows videos.
Yeah.
Does the
Um,
classic one play like 120 minutes and like alternate
They,
nation episodes and shit?
I have seen that. See, the thing is, when it first started, I was really excited about it because they played like a marathon of Beavis and Butthead, and that's pretty much all I watched.
yeah.
That's all I watched
Fuck.
for basically a week. And then I think they had Daria and some other stuff.
I would have
on
called
there.
that a work. I still would have called
Yeah.
that a work.
Yeah.
Like that would have been like.
But
Yeah,
now
it's
all they
dangerous.
show is like these video collection blocks of like an hour of like I said, like of House of Pop, where it's all just pop
Okay.
songs and then
Yeah.
80s, and then they have a 90s one. But they
Does
also,
it repeat so much where you kind of know the patterns and shit?
No,
Okay.
no.
Because there was some weird thing with like on demand, something my brother had, where it was an actual 120-minute show, but it was called like Best of 120 Minutes or something.
Okay,
And
I
he
did.
started, like,
I did see a couple 120-minute episodes on there.
Yeah.
And I think what was that one metal show they had with
Headbangers Ball?
That was it. Yeah. I saw a
Yeah.
couple of those, but now it's just exclusively like those types of shows. They did have a marathon of the Unplugged episodes over New Year's.
Uh-huh.
So, which was kind of cool.
Yeah, like how rad would that be
Oh,
just
the
to
Eric Clapton
rerun
one's
these?
so good.
Yeah.
We'll get into it. Hold on. Yeah, so I mean, it is crazy. I mean, it's amazing that there's so many cool, like, yeah, you could do a whole channel where you just showed all the Unplugged, like on shuffle or something.
Yeah.
You know, like, why not? That would be so cool. I don't know why I don't. It seems like there's got to be a demand enough for people to want to see music videos again. But
No,
maybe...
I think that so many TVs have connection to YouTube now that you can just do that. But like as we talked about today, like the YouTube version of the Unplugged session is terrible.
Yeah, it's horrible.
It's
like,
awful.
And
Like,
I think
like I found like a terrible one, like that I could watch them live, and I was like, I can't. Like, it sounds so bad. And I
Yeah.
just found like one that was like remastered and it didn't have the video.
Yeah.
And I just listened to it and it like sounded great.
yeah. I mean,
But-
yeah, at best, when we're talking about this actual Cure performance of it, it's a weird, and we'll kind of get into the timeline of how it falls into a weird spot in all of Unplugged history even, you know, but it's like...
Yeah.
It's always somebody doing their best to like remaster it or put it in. You know, I mean, it's always kind of blown out a little visually,
Yes.
or the sound is a little shitty, and it's just like all chopped.
Someone's
to
doing like a
shit
good thing, you know, like ripping
Yeah.
the VHS or some shit. Like, that's probably a bunch of bullshit. I've never done it, but
Yeah, no, it's totally a
Pain in the
noble
ass.
effort, but at the same time, yeah, it's tough, and that it explains like why it's cut at certain points, like where the
yeah.
dialogue in between,
Yeah.
because we had the old VHS too. I know everything he said in between on the actual aired one, but like half the time it's not
Yeah.
even in there and stuff, and it's very strange. But
I remember watching that VHS, like,
yeah.
so I had a VHS copy too, like I taped it off the TV or whatever, or probably got a copy from you.
Mhm.
I just watched it a fucking shit ton, just like, man, this is like some behind the scenes shit. Like,
Yeah. It's
Like-
so good. It was
yeah.
like, my VHS I still have of Unplugged. It got played so much that like it was like one of those VHS that had like a break in it, and there's like a rattle. You don't even really know what's
Yeah.
rattling in it.
You gotta
It
fix
would
the
still just
tracking on it and
play.
everything.
Yeah, oh yeah, every time, and like the plastic part was pushed down somehow. Like it was just like it was terrible. It was, but yeah,
Grandpa, explain VHS tapes to me.
Yeah.
yeah.
If you
Such a
drop
great
them,
format.
you cringed as it fell to the floor.
Oh
It's like,
yeah,
It's like dropping your iPhone without a case now.
yeah, exactly. Because it's like that fucker's gonna break. It's like a bunch of moving parts and plastic.
Well, MTV aside, as far as the quick history of Unplugged, it started in '89. It was like November '89, but basically it was '90 when it all
Yeah.
season 1 of Unplugged kicked off, and it wasn't like a huge hit right off the bat. It was weird, and I feel like this kind of gets swept under the rug with history. Is that the season 1 of Unplugged
Mhm.
actually had a host that
Yeah.
would be like a open mic night host almost, and it was really weird. And it was the first 13 episodes, and it was a American singer-songwriter Jules Shear, which I remember at the time being like, who's this fucking dude? And turns out, looking him up, he was like a songwriter dude. He wrote like All Through the Night, that Cyndi Lauper song, which is a badass song. And
Yeah, it's a really good song.
and Bangles, If She Knew What She Wants. That one's a good song. You know, I don't know if that still warrants you a gig, like playing with all these legendary acts, you know, like where he had to jam with them too. He wasn't just like the host, he actually played with them. It was like some weird Paul Schaefer residue kind of thing or something. But and it looked like most of the early episodes were like kind of like they would do half and half, like it was like Sinead O'Connor and the church and stuff like that. And I didn't watch too many of the ones from that season. I remember there was a 10,000 Maniacs one that we recorded and
I remember that
watched.
one.
It was like before like the big successful one, so they had done it twice. It was the one where she had like a choir with them, and she was wearing these horrible like Docker pants, like pulled up real high and stuff. And I remember
she's ahead of the time.
Yeah, it was very, it was VH1 before VH1 even. It was so like, what the fuck is this? I remember just thinking like, oh, why would she wear those pants? But so that was season 1. She and so no, there was a like Squeeze and some other acts on the first season, but then season 2.
Damn, yeah.
So yeah, season 2, I guess, according to my list anyway, The Cure kicked it off.
Yeah.
But before we even get into the actual Cure episode, it was weird because it was around season 2 where it seemed to like catch on more, and like that was the same season that REM did. And I remember that being like a big one, like for Time's Up, where they did like It's the End of the World and all like that.
Yeah.
Where it's like a lot of really cool, where they kind of embraced the idea too. It wasn't just swapping out your electric guitar for an acoustic guitar, and bands started getting a little more creative with it. Yeah, there was like an MTV Raps one even, which at the time I remember thinking like, what the fuck? But it's kind of cool because they were doing all the beats and shit. Yeah, that was like the one with LL doing.
Yeah, that first episode was great. I remember that one. LL Cool J, MC Light, De La Soul, and a Tribe Called Quest.
Yeah.
That's
fucking
awesome. So, but
yeah,
that season was like really like mixed with like college radio, mixed with like old.
Yeah, it's
old
like
school,
Sting.
like Paul McCartney and Winger.
Elvis Costello.
Yeah, Elvis Costello.
It's
Fucking Winger.
Eric,
Winger and Slaughter on the same episode. Oh god.
Eric,
Is
Eric
that where
Clapton.
they did the slow version of like who's the band that did Cherry Pie? Didn't they do like
That was Warrant.
Yeah, that was Warrant. Yeah.
They did like a slow acoustic version of Cherry Pie.
Yeah.
I heard. I mean, it's just like
There's some girl
that's
that
the,
come up there and
Sweet
dance. Yeah.
Surprise. It was like the most awkward thing, and it's like all these like 80s metal bands like doing the acoustic. It's like I don't know if it really translates.
So then, obviously it would blow up the following season, getting more into the one that Donald really cares about. The Eric Clapton episode kicked off season 3, winning about 4 to 6 million Grammys. I think that one, something like that.
Okay.
My
that
fucking
one, okay.
mother listened to that fucking goddamn Eric Clapton Unplugged shit, like the CD or whatever, like
Well, I think
non-stop for like 2 fucking years.
Was that the episode?
I know that fucking piece of shit inside and out, and I hate it. Like,
Was that the episode he did the Heaven song and like it won like everything?
Tears in Heaven.
Okay, all right. I know what you're talking about now. Yeah.
Yeah, so it won like a billion Grammys. And it was around this time too, it was like it blew up so big that pretty much like, and probably because of the success of Eric Clapton or whatever, from here on, it's like anybody that recorded it tended to also put it out as an album.
Okay.
And so it's really sad that the Cure was just like one season too late because it was almost like a given.
I'm
that
glad
season,
they didn't put it out. That would have been a ridiculous
Unplugged,
record.
that would have been great to be on a fucking CD.
What?
I'd love to have that as a live album. But
If they would have done the whole entire set.
Yeah, the whole thing.
It seemed like they got ripped off because they didn't get. I mean, we'll get into it, but like that set, it seemed like what was it, a half hour on TV?
Yeah,
on
they
TV,
just stripped
but
it down so much the TV version's like scratching the surface almost. It's
yeah,
like,
but
You know, it'd be great if it was on like CD because I want to hear those kazoos just in like the most pristine fucking sound quality. Like, absolutely, man.
All right, well, we'll get into your criticism of kazoos later, but yeah, all these bands: Boys to Men, Mariah Carey, the Pearl Jams, Rod Stewart. By season 4, 10,000 Maniacs would come back. That's the one where they did like Because the Night and won about approximately 10,000 more Grammys. And then kicking it all off with the last episode of season 4 was Nirvana's, which of course at that point anyone that's on Unplugged is
probably the biggest one ever.
Think of Nirvana and put it out as a CD or an album and try to do whatever the hell Nirvana did in the same, and I think at that point people were like embracing covers more on it. And
I'm a huge Nirvana fan, but like as far as that goes, like I remember waiting for that to come on and being kind of blown away that they didn't play their own music. Like
Yeah.
I don't know. I hadn't seen every episode, so I don't really know. But I don't think very many other bands, like the majority of their songs that they did, weren't their own music. You know, so it was kind of
Yeah, it was a
it was
lot
kind
of
of
covers
ballsy
on
to
that.
get up there, and then have the Meat Puppets come up on stage with them, who like
Yeah.
nobody fucking knew who they were unless you were like really into, you know, alternative
Yeah.
music at the time. But like you're
Right.
going on a national platform, and
Yeah.
you just sold like 1 billion albums worldwide, and you're just gonna go up there and play cover songs. Like it could have been the biggest bomb in the world, but it turned out to be like one of the biggest live records I think ever.
Yeah.
So kudos
and
to
at
them.
the time, even I remember, like that was the most I was like, whoa, my ears perked up.
Yeah.
Like the rock songs and stuff even had gotten so overplayed in that era. And I
Yeah.
remember like watching that Unplugged being like, what's this fucking song? That's not on the album.
Yeah.
This is great. You know, and I was like, oh shit, they got a whole new album's worth of, because I didn't
Had
know
that
any of the
cello
covers
going?
at the time. You
Yeah,
know, and it was
I'm
cool.
It was very
It's
artsy for
tight.
what they were doing, what they were,
Yeah.
you know, what they were. And then you have like Dave Grohl with the ponytail, like trying not to play hard. And
That's
Yeah,
the
totally.
best. Just watching
That was like
the
one of my
Donald
favorite
and
things.
of the world, like cringing with having to use the brush sticks.
Yeah.
or
Like,
whatever.
let him fucking run like a fucking stallion, you know? It's like, you can keep him
I
penned
love
up,
it.
but like, I definitely like watched that and like his little like, little rod drumsticks, you know,
Yeah.
little quiet ones. So it's like a bunch of little
Yeah.
rods. So, like, I like after that, I went and I did buy some, and I immediately just destroyed them. Like,
Yeah. I remember getting hit by those while we were playing. We would play, and Donald would still be like just rocking out with them, and I'd be getting hit with little pieces of wood.
like little chunks of like drumsticks and stuff. Like,
Looking back, I mean, I don't remember too many from the previous season 1 of people doing like variations on the songs and
Yeah.
stuff so much, but I kind of credit The Cure for being one of the first bands of like changing up the instrumentation and stuff, and not, like I said, just swapping out your electric guitar for an acoustic guitar, because there is like a lot of levels of how you can embrace playing unplugged and making it cool.
yeah.
You know, and even mocking the kazoos or whatever. At the same time, that's fucking rad, because they really like were like, well, how are we gonna just not do this?
Yeah.
As
Yeah.
opposed to just playing the same shit but unplugged, you know? And it's like, I think that's really cool, and a lot of bands took that and definitely ran with it, whether they changed the songs, you know, like whole instrumentation and like the orchestration of it. You know, it's like, you know, and I feel it's
Yeah.
a bit unfortunate because they kind of, that episode gets overlooked a lot, you know? So, but yeah.
See, but like MTV Unplugged didn't like create the whole thing of like bands stripping down and goofing around like with,
I don't.
you know,
No,
I don't think they did,
with
but
acoustic guitars. And,
I think they made it
Yeah.
more like popular and something that you would want to look out for. Like now you have bands doing like, you know, unplugged or acoustic tours on albums that weren't made to be acoustic. Like I know that Foo Fighters did that whole Skin and Bones tour where they played all their hits like just acoustic. But I think that they made
Yeah.
it more of a popular thing to do. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same way they didn't invent music videos, but they put it all together in a way that a mass audience could see it and be like, oh, cool, this is an outlet. You know, and I read somewhere where it is kind of cool, where it was a good outlet at that time in particular for like a band that's like, especially like The Cure, because it's like a band that's like a full, like, you know, this is coming off of Disintegration as their last official album, but then doing something that showcases the songwriting, but still playing as a band. So you get to hear it like stripped down, you know, and I love that as a songwriter, because
just
you
a
do
song,
kind of,
like see if it works in a different world. Like, in a
yeah,
different
you know, and
format,
it's,
like,
yeah, and it is kind of cool just to show like if you put limitations on things or just try it in a different format, if the song still holds
Yeah.
up. And sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't, you know, and And I felt like that's why I felt like it was always kind of cheating when it was like Mariah Carey or something. It was like,
Yeah.
what the fuck? It's like, yeah, your backing band is all just playing, acoustic guitars, big deal. You're still singing. That's not real.
Like singing her like the shit out of it.
Yeah, it's like a.
She had a good voice.
Yeah, but I mean, it doesn't
I
really
know what you're
change.
saying.
She doesn't really sing it any different over an acoustic thing. She might sing it a little softer or something, the way, but it's just like, all right, come on, man.
Like, there's an Elton John one, too. It's just like, oh, you're going to play piano, because it's technically...
Yeah.
Like
it's like, okay, it's cool.
Sounds just like the record.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. So that's MTV's angle. Good on them. It blew up. Like it or not, it definitely got stupid by the end. Did
you guys like anything else that was done in the Unplugged world, other than maybe the Nirvana or the?
I always just liked
Cure?
it if I liked the band. I like I was big into 10,000 Maniacs at the time, so I liked that album a lot and what they did with it.
Yeah.
The Neil Young one was cool just because I like his songs, but again, it's not really the go-to album.
Donald always told me he was really into the Lenny Kravitz one. So
Yeah.
we got that one.
Actually, it was the Limped Biscuit.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But
Did
I was
they ever
thinking-
do one? I know Korn
I
did.
didn't totally see them all. Yeah, I hear Korn did one, but we'll get into that later. Oh, the Oasis one was actually
that was
pretty
one of the
funny.
bigger ones,
Wherever
too.
you stand with Oasis, because like Liam didn't want to sing it or wasn't feeling well that day or whatever the story was, and he heckled him from the whatever the hell because Noel sang him.
Oh shit, that was dope.
Yeah.
He's like, "Oh, fuck you!"
That was probably the
Miss
last
those
gasp
guys.
of
Yeah,
quality entertainment from that. So
yeah, wherever you stand with them.
I remember the Dennis Leary one just because it was kind of weird for like a comedian to do it, like in a quote unquote unplugged set. But like
what the hell?
I do remember Soul Asylum because that was when that Runaway Train song was big, and I remember Pearl Jam just because Eddie Vedder wrote like pro-life on his arm with like a Sharpie or whatever.
Those are all pretty early, like season 3
that was
or
season
4,
1, I think. So.
Oh wow,
But
because they were on there before Nirvana. I remember
them and
like,
Stone Temple
just
Pilots
checking
were both
out.
on there before Nirvana, which is kind of blows my mind. So and Soul Asylum. So they kind of got late on the they could have probably done it a year before, but
totally.
But yeah, anyway.
And it's still going. That's what's weird. Like it's very definitely not anywhere around here, but like
They're still making that fucking shit.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they're like 2 wherever. It seems like it's more like foreign MTVs, where you just see wherever band. Like actually, Courtney Barnett just put out like a Australian MTV Unplugged, and it's an album too, and it's fucking great. It's really cool. I just listened to the album, and then trying to track down the video clips of it. They're kind of gradually releasing them on YouTube and stuff.
Yeah.
But it's cool. She has like Paul Kelly and stuff coming out and singing with them, and she does a great cover of like "So Long, Marianne," the Leonard Cohen song at the end.
That's
like
a good
just it's very like in the Nirvana vein, and she's just fucking crushes it. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's why this was great, It's so I think it's just whoever's doing it,
Yeah, it looks
thumbing through this list. It's like Miley Cyrus did one, and like
the last one was Liam Gallagher,
2014.
so was in.
Okay, yeah. So I'm they're out there somewhere. I don't know what they're coming out on or what, but yeah, it seems like they're doing like 2 a year or something.
Yeah,
but, So I mean, I think it's just whoever feels like it. If they want to do one, maybe they let them do it or something. But all right, well, taking it back to January 24th, almost closing in on the anniversary of it, 1991. The reason why we're all here this evening, The Cure record their episode of MTV's Unplugged in London, MTV Studios. Some people cited it as a place called Limehouse TV Studios in England. Whatever. First European recorded...
It's made of lime.
Yeah, it's all made of limes.
Limestone.
Oh, limestone. Yeah, makes more sense than limes, I guess.
It's made of limes.
First European recorded episode, which was also a simulcast through Westwood One Radio Networks. Anyone know what that
wow.
means?
What the fuck does that even mean?
I don't know, but it was a big deal.
Yeah, West.
What
Oh,
band
I was gonna say
Hold on,
Westwood
Chaz
one.
has got it. What was it?
Like Westwood one does like all the major like football games like over that simulcast across the entire country. So I assume that it's something that it was on radio that went throughout the entire possible world, if not across England.
Yeah.
Since
It
was
played
England.
in every
But I
football
assumed it
stadium.
was something that, yeah.
And
Every pub.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Well, I meant American
Yeah.
football,
Oh.
not.
So at every
Soccer,
Buffalo Wild
the right way to
Wings
say it.
across
every BW,
Yes.
every BW3 said had the Cure Unplugged the night of. Damn.
And they're like, I like, and all the patrons are like, I like this lady.
Yeah, yeah.
Watching rubbers.
This old lady sounds nice.
I'd fuck her.
The
Can I get
lineup.
more ranch over here?
Yo, Tim, check out this chick.
This is one of those goth
hot.
chicks. One of them spooky girls. Looks good.
That's how they do it in England.
So the lineup, which would eventually become the official Wish lineup, we're coming off the heels of Mixed Up, but it's Robert, Simon Gallup, Boris, Porl, Perry. So the only variation from Disintegration is
Classic.
Roger isn't there, but Perry's officially in. And perhaps the first glimpse of Perry in action. I don't remember dwelling on this too much as a kid. Maybe I remember the Never Enough video, like him just rocking out on guitar to be enough, like whatever, he's in the band now, cool. But it is kind of cool because this is
Trying
like
to
the
forget
first
that video.
thing of seeing like Perry playing with the band, I think. So it was kind of cool. Aside from like Never Enough and Close to Me video where they're underwater dancing around doesn't really count. So so that's kind of cool. Other like initial highlights, it's probably the first one where they, like we said, they really embraced the unplugged music instruments, choosing it up like toy pianos, kazoos, xylophones.
yeah.
I love the xylophone bits. Save some shit.
Yeah, real cool.
It's
All the
really good.
percussion, tons of Boris percussion stuff going on with shakers and the bongos and maracas, all kinds
All
of
he
shit.
did.
Yeah,
Weird sitting positions.
yeah, very awkward.
Stuff that looked really uncomfortable.
Super chill. Everyone's sitting down. Lots of pillows everywhere and candles. Really embracing it.
Simon dressed all in black so he blends in
Yeah,
the
he's just
background.
like,
You can't
oh
really
yeah,
tell
he's there.
there. And his guitar's black too, so you can't tell he's
I'm
Yeah.
with him, man. Like, I wouldn't have wanted to have been there.
You kind of wonder if he was just kind of like not. It's like the most like Simon standing out moment maybe ever, where he did kind of just fade in. You're just like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder if he was anti.
All you see is floating hands and a floating
Yeah.
head. You're just kind of like, oh,
I
okay.
wonder if there was something to that where he was.
But I
kinda
listened to that
anti-
shit in like some remastered, like high def shit today,
Mhm.
and his bass playing like really stood out. Of just like
Yeah.
they're like one of the few things holding it all together. Like, and
Yeah,
yet,
all of
like,
them did great with it. I thought.
Yeah, I thought as a band, I thought they kind of, I mean, what you're looking at and what they tried to do, I think they all did pretty well.
Yeah.
yeah, I'll give him that. Yeah,
Because, Boris was fucking killing it. And you could tell he was probably really into it. Because, like, the later stuff he would do, that Baba Car band and stuff was very, like, percussion-y and stuff. I think
Yeah.
he was really into it, if anybody was. So, I mean,
like
you kind of get
like
the
if you took Limp Bizkit
Uh-huh.
and put him in that, and like their drummer had to like hold it down on like some bongos,
On bongos.
Yeah.
and then like
yeah.
that little clicky clacky shaker on Caterpillar was like chicka 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 chicka
Yeah,
chicka
yeah.
chicka chicka.
It was
Like keeping that shit steady is tough.
Yeah.
And like he did a good job. I want to shit on it,
Well-
but you're right. Like,
Yeah, sticking to it. Yeah,
they really
like,
held
whatever-
it down for like how
Yeah.
awkward it was.
whatever weird avenue
mean,
there was,
in-
they stuck to it at least. And delivered it very well. What were you saying?
Like, yeah,
I mean, on the initial broadcast, it comes in with Boris on the bongos.
Yeah.
yeah.
That's all you hear when it first comes in, and like that's the first thing you see, and you're just kind of like,
Oh, okay,
all
we're
right,
doing this.
is where this, yeah.
It's candles. It has a weird haze to it, just the way it was shot, I think. Maybe just all the footage is so shitty. It looks like almost like The
Yeah.
Room or something. You're waiting for some weird, like, Cinemax sex scene to break out or something, But it's,
That's just how things Pigs looked at 91
Yeah,
or
I think
whatever
it
when
was
it came out.
more guilty of the time.
I would expect it to all be in black, like kind of like black with like the candelabras like everywhere, and like, but it wasn't like that. So it was kind of had like this like Middle Eastern kind of vibe to it, with like them all sitting around and like
an opium den,
expecting a drum circle to break out.
It is cool that it was early enough where the production wasn't like over the top by any means. You know, like it's like there's even like feedback during some of the songs and shit. You know,
I mean,
it's just it's so fucking bare bones that it's great just to see like anything Cure that stripped down. It's like, oh my god,
it's very raw.
That's probably the reason why they've never re-released it in anything, just because they're kind of like but at the same time I think that's amazing, because it's like,
I can see the point.
but I mean, how cool, because if they'd shot that now, it would be like in like some awesome directed like black and white thing that would look amazing, and it would sound so much tighter and everything, but it would just sound
overproduced.
Yeah, it would probably sound like the acoustic thing they did for the greatest hits thing, you know, which was, you know, kind of probably the whole reason why they did that, because they liked the idea but wanted it to be tighter and stuff. So
well, even if they did it after Wish came out, and like even prior to Nirvana's appearance, like I could see it being a little bit more grandiose than this was. Like this seems like they just kind of threw it together and was like, where do you want to sit, Porl? And he's just like, I'll just sit on the floor.
Yeah, like Robert's like, I'm not even going to stretch my legs out now. It's just like
my foot's
in and out,
falling
like,
asleep.
Yeah. But I mean, I think a lot of that was because, like we were saying, it was so early in MTV Unplugged era, even, you know, that it was like,
it was just raw and unplugged.
Yeah, it was. Well, I mean, it wasn't a huge thing yet.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't like a big deal yet. You know, like they probably were like, this might not even air. You know?
It was like Real World season 2.
Exactly. So,
but one thing I was thinking about today, about the Unplugged stuff, was how could it have gone better? And I was thinking, like, I've said this before, but just like the Cure with like some orchestration, and like it could have been a completely different set other than fucking kazoos and toy pianos, like a fucking
I don't know.
like a choir. Like imagine that with shit with a fucking choir and like a pump organ, you know, with your feet, you know, just like
that's
like,
the kind of thing. I kind of see what you're saying, but like at the same
they could have done some shit, but they're like, we'll get some pillows and some kazoos, and
I think they just did what they wanted to do. Like, I don't think there was any pressure from MTV, or from like I think they just kind of like that tiny piano. I feel
that's
like
what they choose to do.
They just grabbed that shit and just like, let's try this, you know.
And that's why I think it excels in that. I think that's why it's fucking rad, is because
that's why I haven't listened to it in like 20 years.
Yeah. Well,
also, you know, it's just like.
But I think that's why all the later ones, like with Oasis and stuff, they do have the fucking orchestra, and it's all so overdone. And I think that was kind of the eventual downfall of Unplugged, was that everybody took it too fucking far, where it was like, now we're gonna bring in the whole fucking church choir and the orchestra, and we're gonna have everybody just like really, you know, it's like, come on, just get a fucking and that's what I loved about this one, is how, like, even though they're so dark or whatever with the image, or they were so goofy with it, you know, like they're laughing through most of it almost, and they're like the last band you would expect to be like giggling and busting out kazoos and shit, which is like perfect fucking Cure throw the ball in the other direction kind of thing, where it's like, whoa, what? You know, they're like playing little ding 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 dings on the like, toy pianos. I think it's great, you know, that's what makes it fucking cool, I think. But I see what you're saying. It would have been epically sonically better if they could have like embraced a huge, you know, orchestra.
But I think with this, and even like the Nirvana one, is that it seemed really intimate.
Yeah.
Like it was like very, you know, you could tell there were fans in the crowd, and it was something that was like something that they wanted to do in the way that they wanted to do it. And if it succeeded, it did, and if it didn't, it didn't seem like they really cared. If it didn't, and
let's make it look like a really shitey house party show.
Yeah, but I mean, it didn't like, they didn't put this big weight on themselves to put it like it's a giant show on.
They
like
made a pillow
like,
for it.
You know, 10,000 Maniacs or anything like that, or Seal or anything like that, where you're going to have this big production thrown together, where you're going to try to, this is for your fans kind of thing. Because I don't think anybody's going to like tune into that to like want to watch it if you're not a fan. Like it wasn't a cultural pop sensation at that point. So
because it was like a glorified version of just playing the Tonight Show, or you know what I mean, like Jules Holland or something. Or it was like, this is a one-time thing, we'll do it, whatever. But you're not gonna like hire a whole orchestra or something for it. Later it would become that because it became so big. But that's why.
It's very authentic, and that's one of the reasons why
they
I
could
like
have
it.
had
And
like the Clapton record.
they could have.
Like if they took it seriously.
They could have also been like, well, we have a new album coming out next year. Let's do it then to promote it.
Yeah.
And they didn't do it. So, I mean, that's kind of like, I don't know. All these points are kind of like positives to me.
Yeah.
But,
I
I
like
just
that.
like, so I don't have a problem with this. And I like how there was feedback in it. And I like how Robert messed stuff up here and there. And
like he's singing.
like the kazoos and the shitty little piano. Like, it kind of added charm to it. So, yeah.
We'll get into it with the specific songs, but just the kind of different approaches to the songs and stuff was cool, It was
So
like
many acoustic guitars on this one. Like, it's just...
there's no extra guitar in the whole thing.
But it counts. There is an extra guitar because Robert Smith is just like slapping around that 12-string.
He does that when he plays with the full band.
Oh, he just like fucking shreds. And it's just like 12-string acoustic is just like cacophonous. Like, and then there's like a bunch of other dudes.
No, just the one guitar.
Banging around some acoustic guitars.
No.
It's a lot of acoustic guitars.
Paul's the only other one that plays guitar through the whole thing. What are you talking about?
I'm just saying it gets a lot. Like, to me,
Two
like...
people.
It's a lot of like, it's like, I'm like, come on, like, stop strumming so much,
But we'll get into the actual songs. You can pick apart the actual playing of the band then. But overall, they take a very lighthearted approach to it, but still play the songs very well, I think. I think in hindsight, it's weird to not also address the bonus footage before we get into specific songs that comes out later on the Play Out VHS. And VHS thing's weird because the timeline's odd with the history, because this came out 91 January, about a year before Wish. Play Out comes out after Wish is already out. But we had it as a pay-per-view thing that must have come out somewhere at the end of 91, maybe, because we heard
pay-per-view money, players. That's what's up.
So we got it like, and I remember it was a big deal, and we've talked about this in the show in the past, but it was like this whole other thing. It was basically the Play Out thing, but we got to see A Letter to Elise before the album came out. Because if you got Play Out, it came out after Wish, so you had already heard it. But this was like a big deal because it was like a preview to that. And it also had Boys Don't Cry, and based on various versions that we even talked about before recording this now on YouTube, there's like longer version of Play Out maybe out there. It's hard to tell what the fuck's up with that. My VHS said it was 96 minutes long. But there's like a 2-hour version on YouTube, which I do feel like has some extra clips, and it had like just some of the other songs and stuff.
I went through it before we came on, and it has all the extra clips on it, and it's under the Cure documentary rare.
Yeah.
With little things around the end of it, but yeah. So
and that's probably just so they don't get it taken down. If you call it Play Out or pay-per-view.
It's down everywhere else.
Yeah, and it'll probably come down again in a week, but it's kind of like in Orange where it's out there for like a week and then you get a different version. But yeah, it's so fucking good. I mean, that's worthy of its own episode.
The toy piano.
Yeah.
It's the only time I condone it.
Just so you're anti-toy piano before we even get into the song? I think it sounds so good on like Just Like Heaven, and
I'm 100% for toy piano.
It sounds so good.
The Letter to
it.
Elise melody
110%.
on the toy piano is the only good thing.
Only the
that
Leonard
came out of
release.
that toy piano.
Nah, I love it. As far as Play Out, obviously check it out. That's worthy of its own episode. There's a great behind the scenes where they're getting their makeup done before they do the two songs that we hear from it. And it's really odd. It gets almost Spinal Tap. You know, I think anytime you have like a British band and you're filming them talking backstage, it becomes Spinal Tap, you know, or just like, and probably the reason why Play Out has never come out on DVD or whatever. I could see them cringing at all this stuff, but it's so fucking cool for Cure Nerd fans to just get those like casual conversations of these guys. Like, I mean, just hearing Porl or Simon talk for more than 3 sentences is like, oh my God, that's what he sounds like. You know, like you don't even know what their voice sounds like, you know, for better and worse, you know, but it's fucking great. Like they sit down and they get their makeup done and like, Porl's just making small talk. It's like this Asian makeup lady just like going in these weird fucking conversations with him. Perry's kind of popping in and out, talking about how he wants a shave, but he can't shave because he doesn't have a razor. And then he convinces her to ask Robert if he could borrow his razor.
I can't talk to him directly.
It's just like they walk down. She's like, "Can you borrow your razor?" And he's like, "What? Yeah, sure." And then he's buzzing his face. While that's happening, Robert goes and gets his makeup done. She starts telling him some fucking whacked out story that I can't quite understand because the audio is so shitty and low. That she's talking about somebody got their arm chopped off, I believe, and it's like, and then it gets
the guy from Def Leppard.
So yeah, maybe it's about Def Leppard. I do feel like she said it was somebody that was touring with somebody. But then she says, and it gets sewed back on, and it's like it works, and like the whole time he's like got like that classic like Robert look on his face. He's like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" And he's like, his arm is. He's like, "Are you making this up?" You know, and he's just like, he's not calling her out, but you can tell he's just like, "What are you talking about?" And then he's like, "What does this have to do with anything? Who are we even talking about?" And she's like, "So and so," and it takes like 4 tries to get back to the. I just loved watching that as a kid.
Do her accent, Gavin.
No. But it was great.
Come on, it won't be racist or stereotypical at all. Let's hear it.
No. I'll only do Robert.
I'll only do white European.
Yeah, I'll only do Europe. I'll offend all of the British-speaking people out there, but no Asians. Sorry. That's your territory, Donald.
we can't do Robert Smith's accent anymore. We can't do British accents on the podcast.
Simon really keeps trying hard to goof on George Michael. He keeps calling him Michael George, and they're just wanting to bash on George Michael for the whole fucking thing. It's like borderline picking on him, you know? It's just like, they're like, make me look like Michael George when he's got stubble and stuff. And so it's hilarious. You should check it out.
I'm kind of down with that.
Yeah. The only other side notes is Robert, like we had mentioned in past episodes, is thumbing through the song words book before they literally walk on stage, and then he takes it with him. I'd forgotten that he actually takes it with him, and he's like reading the lyrics or looking at it before they play.
He should have just brought the lyrics for like the blood. Like, when's the last time they?
Yeah, I think it's the blood.
Bullshit?
He says it real fast, but I couldn't hear what. I'm sure it's the blood. Like maybe Caterpillar, but probably the blood. But
yeah, it's probably those two.
So they take that out. Yeah, and the version we watched on YouTube now had "If Only Tonight We Could Sleep," and we'll get into that with the track listing too.
I didn't see
So
that.
yeah, that was like because
Okay.
that was only in the credits of the actual aired one. So
Yeah.
so let's do it. Let's do the track by track. You ready, man?
Go.
So even the track by track before we dive in is controversial in the sense that
Yeah.
apparently,
I'm seeing that.
yeah, I guess before whatever the track listing was, I think it's great song selection because they didn't just do In Between Days greatest hits, you know, like, you know, they really did by picking songs like The Blood and Caterpillar and stuff. Like at that point in particular too, like Caterpillar hadn't been played hardly at all, I think, you know, it'd been a while, I think, since that was any set list. Definitely not The Blood. You know, and the idea of going with like The Walk and Let's Go to Bed for an acoustic set is pretty cool.
Yeah.
So in great Cure fashion, and this is coming off the heels of right after Mixed
It
Up.
was
So,
mixed up because there's like mixed up font.
Yeah. So I mean, that's pretty crazy
yeah.
when you think about it. Even the idea of how much shit people gave them for going what are you just doing like dance mixes for everything now after Disintegration? And like, so then here they are like
Boris is
doing-
on bongos.
Yeah, then we got fucking bongos. You don't get any more stripped down. And maybe that was even a reason for doing it, was to kind of deflect some of the hostile vibes from Mixed Up. So who knows? But yeah, the actual set list, of course, it had to be more than those 6 songs or whatever. You know, that was the part that always drove me crazy. And I think in all Cure, like folklore legend of like what were the other songs, because there's no like, you know, like official set list. There was a rumored one apparently. I got onto some like rabbit hole on Chain of Flowers of like apparently the rumored.
Oh yeah,
did you see that?
I read that.
Yeah,
today.
it's like apparently, and it doesn't vary too much like from the real one, but they had it in different order. But it was like Lullaby, which wasn't on the show. Just Like Heaven, Let's Go to Bed, If Only Tonight We Could Sleep, which was the credits of the show. Caterpillar. They had In Your House as one that never got heard.
So good.
The Walk, Letter to Elise, Blood, and then the big controversial one is Time Has Told Me. The Nick Drake song apparently was covered, and nobody has any fucking clue of it or
what
like
Nick Drake song.
Time Has Told Me. So, and M apparently was done, and Boys Don't Cry.
Yeah.
But then somebody...
I can't find M.
What's that?
But I heard Lullaby.
And
I
Lullaby's
saw the
in
Lullaby
there
video.
for sure.
And I heard Boys Don't Cry.
Yeah. Both of those have definitely been...
But I didn't see M.
Yeah,
No.
M, and both of those, and this would actually come up to be kind of bullshit, I think, because somebody kind of convinced me further down the thread. Somebody said they were the green-shirted girl at the fucking thing playing the kazoo. She was like, I'm the girl in the green sweater playing, because on the walk, when they hand out kazoos, there's like 3 people actually playing with them from the crowd. She's like, yeah, I was there, and... that they never played the Nick Drake song. I played kazoo on the walk, and they never played Nick Drake, and they never played M. But In Your House apparently did get played. So and apparently people were attacked her on the thread. They're like, "Fuck you, you weren't there." It's just like, what? Why would I make this up?
Chill out, people.
So I don't know. I believed her. I was convinced. So I don't know. Take it as you will. But I took her side because she said she had a recording of it, even that like Robert hooked her up with because they knew him and stuff. So it was like, okay, cool.
Hell yeah.
So she had it as basically what is out there. She had Let's Go to Bed. In Your House is the only weird one because nobody's ever heard a recording of that from it. That's the only mystery one. Lullaby wasn't on the show, but it would later reappear. I feel like the next like hour even I saw it. They played it as an extra track on 120 minutes because I had it recorded. The Blood, Just Like Heaven, If Only Tonight We Could Sleep, Caterpillar, Boys Don't Cry, Letter to Elise, and The Walk. So that kind of adds up, I think. So that's why I believed her story, because that set list seemed like the most proper, where it opened with Let's Go to Bed and ended with The Walk. So yeah, let's take that track listing. You ready? Anything on top of that? Did you hear any weird contrasting set list for that, Chaz?
No, but we should act out that thread on.
Yeah, maybe.
Chain of Flowers.
We should.
And like all of us should do different.
We should,
yeah. Like God, people.
Yeah,
man,
calm
just
the
chill
fuck
out.
down. They're all like, "How do you know?" And it's like they just got so hostile.
I was fucking there. That's how I know. You
They're
asshole.
like, "Prove it."
God, I hate when people are like that.
Like,
were you
send
there?
us a
No, you
blood
weren't.
sample. It's like, Jesus.
That's the internet.
Anyway,
Right?
Yep. Goddamn internet. So
True.
track by track, if we take hers, we're just gonna go full with whoever she was. I forgot to write her name down.
Green shirt.
Green shirt girl. Track listing. Let's Go to Bed. Like you said, it opens with that great bongo work from Boris.
Does she still have that kazoo? That's what I want to know.
Ooh.
I would keep that thing forever. But that's just me.
All right. If somehow she's listening out there, please chime in.
We got track. I'm gonna track her down.
We're following your set list here, so we believe in you.
And your kazoo. We believe in you and your kazoo.
In your kazoo. So, Let's Go to Bed. How do you feel about this one, guys? I think it's pretty rad because it's a synth.
It was
pop.
the dumbest. Like, why pick like a Let's Go to Bed that has like
Skip.
it's like a dancing.
I like it. It's great.
It's like a fucking dancey. It's like a dancey song.
Uh-huh.
And it's like there's like a billion other songs that they could have picked that would, like, if you're gonna do it like unplugged, that would have translated a little better. But it's like, let's.
They could have done the Love Cats, and I thought it would have come out pretty rad.
Yeah.
But I mean,
Yeah.
I do like.
We'll save a portion
I
of
do
songs
like
they
this.
didn't choose. But why do you think this
Right.
wouldn't
It's like,
translate? I think this
why
one's
this
great.
one?
It translates
thought it
great.
translated
It sounds
great.
great
It
with
sounds
bongos.
fucking awesome.
Oh
Two,
man, the
bongos are
bongos
fucking
on that
awesome.
one. Oh man, I was dancing around my house. Psych! It was bongos.
Not.
Was it just because you don't like bongos? I mean, but I mean, don't you?
It's not a bongo song.
Well, yeah, well, that's the idea. They're challenging
They didn't-
themselves.
it's
They're
not-
doing something different with it. Like, obviously, if they just played like love song, it'd been like, oh, great, everyone's
You
excited.
sound like an MTV exec.
You sound like a
Talking
dick.
me into.
What's the problem with doing a song that's different, but you're doing it with bongos?
Just didn't. I don't know. That one just didn't hit with me. Like,
Okay, what would have been a better bongo song then? If they're gonna use them on every song anyway.
God damn. I didn't even think about that. Maybe some shit off of the Disintegration or something, like with some Tom shit, and you just replace it with bongos instead of like a disco beat.
Well, I think the idea is to do a fun one too. You can't just do like all "If Only Tonight We Could
They should
Sleep."
have done 100.
Oh,
years
like that
with the
Eric
bongos.
Clapton one
Yeah,
where he
100
like
years.
sang about his dead kid. That fun one.
No, but what do you mean? You want them to cover "Tears in Heaven"?
They should have.
Yeah, maybe they should have done it. Fucking.
But pepped it up a little bit.
Whatever.
All right. Well, that's fine.
I think "Let's Go to Bed" is. I think it's a perfect way to open it up, like on the broadcast.
Yeah.
Was that the first song they started with?
I think
though?
so. Like I said, this
Okay.
thing's so chopped up. It's fucking
Yeah,
crazy.
I can
Who
never get
knows,
like the
but-
right order, but if we're going by this set list,
Yeah.
I think it's a good way to go back in your
Yeah.
catalog.
And it was definitely the
and
first
to
one the
try-
show opened with. So yeah.
Yeah. But like you said, they could have gone with something easy. They could have gone with like "Love Song" or something that just came out like on
Yeah,
Disintegration.
even
that
Pictures
was
of
a
You
big
or
hit.
something. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, it's crazy that
Like,
wasn't
they
on
could have
here,
just
but-
Yeah, they could have done the obvious shit like I said with like Nirvana.
And that's
they
why they're
could
not
have done
Eric
the
Clapton.
obvious shit, and yeah, but nobody's Eric Clapton.
Nah,
except
yeah.
Eric Clapton. So, but like I think it's a good way to bring in older fans,
Yeah.
and to show newer fans what songs they've done in the past, and they can look up and get into
Look
them
up the
that
good
way.
versions of these.
Well,
Come
didn't
on.
you say
Yes.
that you liked the xylophones earlier? And this is like fucking prime xylophone was all in this song. Which one did you like the xylophones on?
Sorry, there's like a later one where they're like, someone was shredding the xylophone.
Yeah, it's this one.
I'll give it that. The xylophone was really good in that.
All right, but just the bongos you didn't like?
Yeah, the bongos like just really distracted me.
What else was he gonna do? And fucking egg shaker?
Like, if you're getting acoustic, like just get like a big concert bass drum and be like, push, push, but like.
Yeah, but that's so close to you can't just bang on a concert bass drums for
Yeah,
the
you
walk.
can.
Or for Let's Go to Bed. That would sound horrible.
'Cause it's like a dancey beat.
How
It's
can you
like,
not have a bongo
dun,
drum?
dun, boom, boom.
Uh,
It's better. It's better to have like a boom, boom, just like let's go to bed. Then like,
Alright.
like
all right. Well, when we get Boris on the show, you could discuss that with him. Seems like he
Fucking-
knows what the best choice would be.
the bongos really took me out of this whole thing.
Okay.
Boris, why didn't you use some tom riffs
Yeah.
on that, man?
Concert drums. All right. Well, let's move on. I think so. That's two. I think Chaz was for it. I'm for that one. Donald definitely not. So fair enough.
Donald, you crack me up. I love you, man.
Well, here's a weird one coming in number 2. Huge single. Obviously, they were going to play this one just like Heaven. And I feel a little ashamed that I didn't quite catch on this whole like rendition of it. This one, I think, may have been the one Don was referring to. 12-string ovation in full bloom. Going
Yeah.
out. Robert's just strumming his ass off.
Ah, damn.
Coral's doing the
Yeah.
lead. Did you guys catch that? Like, there's no drum and bass on this? Like,
No, I didn't
yeah,
know.
it's really weird because the
Oh, now I gotta
production's
go
so
back and watch it
shitty.
again.
Yeah, the The drum and bass come in at the very end of the first chorus, play only through the toy piano solo, which would be like the piano solo.
Oh shit.
Yeah, and then they cut out for the third verse. So it's basically just a Robert solo acoustic song with Pearl playing the lead part and the toy piano in the background. So it's really weird because it's like you never hear The Cure doing that. And it's pretty much the only one on this whole set where they really rearrange the song as far as like who's playing when and what. I was just like,
I don't blame Simon for dipping out. Like,
I don't think it was a.
He's like,
I don't want to play unplugged. So,
I kind of like it. He's probably like, Boris is just like, I'm not playing bongos anymore. I'll play him on the chorus.
He does.
This one chorus.
He does for the whole rest of the set. I'm sure it wasn't artistic protest.
I'm just saying the one song. He's just like, bloop, bloop, bloop. And some bongos.
No, they just worked up a different way to play the song. And it was. But I think it works good. I mean, it's cool that you never hear like Robert do like an almost solo acoustic song. So that's a weird song to choose it on. But I kind of thought maybe they're thinking of different ways to change it up from like Boys Don't Cry or something like that, you know, or they didn't want to just do the same thing through the whole thing. Yeah. So works pretty good. I want to steal that idea.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty good version. I mean, it's not my favorite version of that song.
Yeah.
I still I like the actual recorded acoustic version of it more.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah.
You know, I think it's the biggest hit that they played on that.
Yeah, probably.
List.
Yeah, aside from like Boys Don't Cry as far as hits that aren't hits, but yeah.
Like M or whatever. That's that's my favorite one on that one.
The one that didn't exist.
Yeah. It's not on there. The next one, they get kooky again for Caterpillar, which is awesome. Like I said, I think it was pretty rare that they would play that in any form at this point in the timeline. So it was kind of cool. Has the little pre-playing where he makes a joke of saying, "I've been taking violin lessons," and then, yep. And then he just scratches the violin, basically. But
and they started off a little jazzy on it, like as jazzy as that song is, like
just the way that it has like the little rambly bloom bloom blooms piano kind of thing, where you kind of roll down the piano with the rolls and stuff.
Yeah, I'm not the biggest Caterpillar fan, but I love this version of the song.
Me too.
I think it's really playful. And, I think it's, I don't know, like I've said it before, but it's very intimate, and I like it.
Yeah,
so.
I love this one too. This was huge.
I'm not too mad at this one. Even with the bongos, I'm not mad at this one.
Cool. He nails the flickas at the end.
Yeah. So
maybe this is where you would lean more instead stay away from like the synth poppy stuff, and stuff from like the top caters well to this. A bit more, where it's like
this is a perfect bongo song.
Yeah.
If you're gonna pick one.
Because they're in there already. But
I'll give them that.
The Blood is another great choice because it's rare and
weird fucking song to put on TV though.
Yeah,
God damn
like for all
choice.
Yeah,
when
I don't understand why they didn't put Lullaby. Yeah. Just coming off of of Disintegration, I don't understand why they put. I'm not complaining because I love that song. I just don't understand why MTV would say
the kids are gonna love it.
We're gonna put this song that like 10 people have heard on here. That everybody probably skipped over.
Not winning any new fans with that one.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, and let's put Lullaby, one of their biggest hits off their last album.
That would probably work in that
take.
format.
Yeah, so weird.
Yeah,
that's weird.
But I love that. Like I was just watching it again today, and I was like, yeah, this is really good.
Yeah.
So
and if you're ever gonna do something like this, you have to dig it up. I mean, that's like the perfect choice.
When you have a 12-string.
He doesn't play a 12-stringing on this one.
God damn, there's so much fucking acoustic strumming in that fucking song, man.
On The Blood?
Blood, yeah. Like,
Robert plays a classical guitar. Pearl plays just a regular.
Like, chill, guys.
No 12 strings. Together, there's 12 because there's 2 6-strings.
It sounds.
Don't get into the math.
But,
Don't get into the math. We're good.
I actually have to retract my statement because the fact that he made that. It sounded like a fucking 12-string, and it was a 6-string.
Yeah.
Got to give him that.
Yeah,
That's
man.
Fucking
That's that
heavy
Robert
strumming.
Strum, that classic Robert Strum. I love that he introduces it as a song from the top. I even double checked it because this has been spliced up so much. I was like, well, maybe that was just like a pre-song introduction before Caterpillar that got misplaced. But it's full on before this one. He's like, which always made sense. The Blood did sound like the one song that could have been on the top still. But he goes, this is a song from the top. We don't do it very often. Maybe I hope you don't see why, I think is what he says. But Boys Don't Cry would come up next. This is a definitive version of Boys Don't Cry. First time actually hearing him sing it kind of lower registered, sedated, super sad, which had almost become kind of the way he sings it a lot nowadays, where he doesn't really belt it out the way he used to. But I loved it at the time. I think this is like saddest version of Boys Don't Cry maybe ever. So
all right.
I'm down with it. I think
I just thought it was kind of predictable. It didn't go the same path that the rest of the set kind of went.
Yeah.
So, but I understand it. But it's a great song. But,
I do remember as a kid, like being hit hard by that like slower, sadder interpretation of the vocals that it like.
Okay.
It was the first time because I always
I
kind of
get
just
you on that.
yeah, it was weird because it was always like just a cool rock song before as a kid, even though I know it's technically a sad song, but I was like it never came off that way until I heard this version. I was like, oh yeah, this is like fucking sad song, you know. Like for some reason, like even though it's like so lyrically sad or whatever, but it was like always just such a fun, cool rock song to me, and I was like, yeah, man.
I like that slower, like
a
little more impassioned or whatever. Like vocal stylings, and it's a little chilled out, lower register, but those bongos fuck me up the whole time.
You just anti-bongo, though. I mean, it wouldn't matter if...
I like bongos in the right situation, man. Don't get me wrong.
Do you?
But in a slow version of
I
Boys
remember
Don't
battling
Cry,
with you over
like,
this like years ago. We're like, let's get some shit so we can play some like quieter venues and shit. And you're like, I'm not buying any fucking bongos, that's for sure. You've always been pretty anti-bongo, I think.
Whilst I do have some bongos and hand drums and shit around my house. Like,
You have them at your house?
yeah, I'm not doing it live, man. That's some private
Get
shit.
them, man.
That's some private shit. I
Alright.
do that by myself.
Doing peyote and out in the desert kind of shit.
All right.
I make sure the wife's out of the house and like.
I was trying to
Take off
make
all your
sense of your
clothes.
madness, but I don't know. Matthew McConaughey over here. Fucking.
Matthew McConaughey.
So yeah, the last one on the actual show was the walk, the big finale. They hand out the kazoos. Any kind of fun? Donald is going to be anti right from the get-go, I'm sure. So wait a minute. This band's having fun?
I know, fuck them.
So I think it's great.
This version's fucking nuts.
But why not? You know, I think it's a great way to do the synth line and not take it too seriously. Again, the xylophones are cool. Good way to end it. Like I said, I think it is that push and pull of like, do you want to do a poppy one? You don't want to just do all, obviously, yeah, in my ideal world, like acoustic funeral party would have been fucking rad. Yeah, sure, go for it. But, you know, come on. They're not going to do that.
Let's
you know?
get some
The
kazoos.
peak of their fame. What are they going to just bum everybody out for 6 songs that Unplugged, you know? So they made it fun. And I think they pulled it off. I was down with this one. It's a little goofy for sure.
Listen to yourself.
I am. I hear myself.
Just like,
loud.
let's get some quizzes. When is it ever a good idea to like, hey, let's get a bunch of kazoos?
I think a good time for a kazoo performance is that one time on MTV in 1991 when there was a TV show that we all saw once and put on VHS and it never got re-released ever again. So yeah, it's a great fucking time to do it. I don't think it redefined their career by any means, and I don't think they had to worry about it ever since leaving that studio. And they've never done it ever since, so it was a one-off great moment. So, yeah, that was the one time. If they had done it every tour since then, yes, I'd be like, all right, let's get the fucking kazoos
kazoo, guys.
Yeah.
It's getting silly.
It
was dumb as shit when we did it in 91, but...
let's keep doing this forever. And then, yeah, I'd be totally on board. But I think that they just put down their guard a bit and did something a bit goofier, especially from this band. You don't get to see that much. So, But, yeah, it's not my go-to version of The Walk by any means. So, it's kind of like a remix. So, did it totally disgust you, Chaz? How are you on this?
Oh, I'm fine. I'm just going through all the famous songs with kazoos in them. We got Pink Floyd,
Well, there you
Weird
go.
Al Yankovic on Smells Like Nirvana.
He gets a pass.
Blind Melon. Queen.
Right?
Another Pink Floyd song. Jimi Hendrix. Paul McCartney. So you're in
Pretty good.
you're in the
company.
wrong territory.
Yeah.
Donald.
Because
Outtakes. The most obvious outtake was Lullaby that got out pretty quick. Like I said, I kind of remember that being even like MTV Unplugged aired, and I watched it, recorded it, and then 120 minutes came on right after it, and then like Dave Kendall was like, and now to kick off 120 minutes, an exclusive outtake from it, and it was like the first.
Yeah.
So it was like, okay. So I just added it right real quick at the end. But Lullaby, only song from Disintegration, which is weird in hindsight of like, fucking how huge Disintegration was and stuff. You would think they would just be like all the singles, like Fascination Street acoustic, and stuff like that. But Lullaby, if anything, too safe because it just catered to it too well, where it was like really cool. But yeah, I can't believe it wasn't on the actual show.
it would have
Yeah.
been better than a bunch of other ones.
I'm just surprised they didn't put it in instead of like The Blood. So.
Yeah.
But
Right?
I think it's a great version. I still love it.
If only tonight we could sleep was during the credits of that, and like I said, later would appear in some versions of Play Out. Really cool, smart one
That's
to do.
what I'm saying. Like,
I know you're not that big of a fan of the song, Chaz.
Still hate that song.
You still hate it, yeah.
Jesus, Chaz, why? That song's so good. I was just like, the whole thing should have been like,
you don't like
songs
kazoos
like
or
that.
bongos. I don't know how we're having this discussion about my taste.
But he loves Middle Eastern vibed songs.
Oh, but they slayed it, and like, it was such a disrespect to like, cause during the credits, like, I'm glad they tossed it in on the credits, but it's like, come on, like,
Yeah.
I know they shouldn't have just not played it at all, right?
well, they should have played it and freaked everyone out,
You're
man.
saying they should have opened with that?
That's why they
Donald?
played The Blood.
I know.
I felt bad. My sister and brother-in-law, music experts, I sent them a picture of what Perry's playing. I'm like, what is this musical Middle Eastern version of whatever he's playing? And they're like, I'm pretty sure it's just a recorder. It's just a recorder with like a long like mouthpiece that's very like hookah-esque or something. I was like, oh, this has got to be some exotic.
You're like, is this a really long kazoo?
Yeah, I was like, is this like a
no, it's a really long
it's
recorder.
Just a really long recorder. And it's great on Play Out. That's what Perry's walking around just playing, being annoying as fuck, like walking in from the makeup. He's like, no. But
I got a fresh shave.
yeah, it's like, they're all like,
They weren't taking it seriously at all, man. I feel like they really didn't take it seriously. They're just like, all right, MTV, where's your money? What do we
but
do?
isn't that awesome? I mean, like, I can't believe that
Kinda,
you were
yeah,
mad that they
kinda.
didn't take it more seriously. That's like everything that you're about. You should have loved that they were just like fucking goofing the whole time.
If you wanted something serious, just listen to the acoustic hits thing, and
Yeah.
that's what you got. I prefer this
Yeah,
a
for
little
sure.
bit more. So
You kind of swayed me a little bit with that logic, Gavin.
Yeah.
I must say, like, it was just someone
Yeah.
just being a dipshit, like, all right,
You're
like
let's
bucking
do
the
it.
system. Like, you're just
Totally.
like, all right, MTV, whatever.
So the last outtake we've been saving all our love for, A Letter to Elise. The first time ever heard for pay-per-view viewers, maybe, but then later, maybe it was in hindsight on Play Out, was the original version on this Unplugged performance. Was the first time we heard Letter to Elise, and I just fell in love with it right off the bat. I felt like it was...
damn. That shit fucked me up. That changed,
Yeah.
all kinds of shit for me. Like, that was so good. I cherish that memory of just hearing it for the first time and, like, before the thing came in.
Yeah.
I
remember just being in that moment of, like, coming out of Disintegration as a kid and then, like, Mixed Up, I knew wasn't the next thing. But then, like, yeah, the first glimpse of what Wish was going to be, and then you hear this, I'm like, oh, God. This is like
this is going to be
Pictures
the
of You,
best.
like, part 2, you know? It's just like, oh, my God, this is perfect. And
like, they're still fucking pushing out fucking hits.
Yeah.
Like,
I just remember, like, the like, passion in that performance, too. It's really weird, because, like,
it's the best.
like, when you're, like, recording and writing your own stuff even, I feel like a lot of times you hear... People always say, and you hear about, even when you're reading about bands, like capturing the song in its earliest form before it gets to whatever, you know, and like
just hitting that gold, hitting that like essence of it. Like,
yeah, I feel like this might be one of like the most sincere interpretations of that, if there ever is one. I don't know if it's true, but like that idea of capturing the song. Something was weird about this where they're on their toes a bit because it wasn't finished. He was making up lyrics by the third verse, which I still feel is arguably some of the like better alt lyrics were in that one. You know, there's a couple really great lines that are like
they were taking it fucking seriously.
Yeah, well, yeah, and you know, I think there's a lot to that. Yeah, where it was just like that passion level. I mean, when a song is new, there is no denying. Yeah, everything was fresh, and he's trying to nail it, and the passion levels through the roof, you know. And it's just, I feel like it comes through in that performance in particular, just so chill and so like, and you know, the recording is perfect too, you know, in like a studio way, but like this just really fucking was like, all right, if somebody was playing me this as an actual demo of something you're gonna record, I would be like, here's every cent I have, make it work.
You're
know?
signed.
Like, I'm
You're
sold. Yeah,
signed.
like if that was that dude in the suit, you know, then that was fucking sold. I can't believe it wasn't even the first single. After
Here's
how
a suitcase
well
of
that
cocaine.
Yeah, it was like, yeah. I was like, here's $1 million and tons of cocaine. Keep doing whatever you're doing. But yeah.
And this is the only song you can use the toy piano on.
Sorry. Producer Donald says it's the only toy piano. But yeah, I feel like the toy piano works perfectly on this one for
beautiful.
sure. Almost to the point where I was disappointed when it wasn't on Wish, you know?
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure it
That's a
is
note
in
that I
there
made.
somewhere, probably pulled down in the mix, but
I'm seriously bummed that it's not in the recording of it.
Yeah.
So
It's like, why would you
I think it's perfect.
yeah.
It's the best. This is the
So
best thing from it.
Yeah, I think that I do agree with that. I think it's the best thing out of this whole thing. And I just think that I think it's one of the best versions of that song I've heard.
Yeah.
Like even the studio recording, there's something about that song that's so sincere, and just the way they play it is perfect. And it's kind of ballsy to do that. You're still like a year away from releasing this album, and they decide to do this song,
And it's not even done
what
yet.
what could be, you know, broadcasted everywhere in the world, and you're just kind of like, for MTV, and you're like putting a song that's not complete.
And especially knowing their
so-
history for how little they do that is very rare, you know? Like, oh my God, that's...
But that one felt so special, though.
Yeah, that was like...
I really held that shit close. Like, I put that on like mixtapes. Like, like that was on like 30 mixtapes. Like,
Yep. And we
I
kind of
cherished-
laugh a lot of times, like going back between this and like remixes and stuff. How like my defense of all those is like, well, that's never the go-to version. You never like put on mixed up version of Walk or the unplugged version. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's cool just to have another version, but it's never like the idea isn't that it's replacing the original. But this one is one that often, like you're saying, for mixtapes or something, like I do kind of hesitate for a split second because a lot of times I might throw that one on instead. The Letter to Elise Unplugged is like arguably my go-to version. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's, like,
It's sweet.
the only thing really ever holding it back is the fact that it's shittier quality. You know, like if it was like put out on a album, like a mastered kind of remixed kind of deal, it would definitely, I think, probably be
Like
for
an
sure
$80
now, just 'cause-
box set.
Yeah, why not? We're to that point, right? You know, so let's do the $80 box set. So I don't know. Maybe it's a good way to merge into the in closing. I think it is a very cool performance, and like I said, coming out of the idea of that, throwing another direction into the mix of like what's the Cure gonna do next, as they're always really good at that. Coming out of Disintegration, they put out Mixed Up, which is all like, you know, electronic remixes. Then you do an unplugged thing. That's pretty fucking clever, you know, and it's pretty cool.
I've been wanting to say, like, it's so trite, but it's like the yin and yang.
Yeah, it really does.
Like, I really didn't want to say that. It's like a yin yang tramp stamp.
Yeah.
It's very 90s.
Yeah, that's what the 90s was all
Tribal
about,
tattoo
right?
in there. No fear.
Yeah. You're gonna get if you're gonna get an electronic yin and an acoustic yang above your ass, the 90s was the time to do it, I think. So, I know as a kid I never had any desire to own an acoustic guitar until I saw this. I was like, yeah, nothing acoustic ever appealed to me until I saw this. So I was like, and
like,
unfortunately, that's why I bought an Ovation acoustic guitar, which aren't really my favorites. I don't know why Robert was his go-to for so long,
but yo, like the drumsticks that like Nirvana's drummer used, like those little rods, like the sales from like brush sticks.
Oh,
and
yeah, they
rods,
must have been through the roof.
Fucking through the roof when these records came. And like acoustic guitars and shit. Like,
step out, yeah. I do, you know, it's stupid to even say I really wish this was on a reissued list. There's so many other billion fucking things that obviously probably it almost is so defeated to want this to come out on any kind of remastered issued re-release, because it's like, yeah, I would rather have an orange. I'd rather have this. I'd rather have the, you know, but a wish, you know, but at the same time, it's like, this should be on something. Jesus, you know, like, how could this not be on something other than like a shitty YouTube clip floating around on the internet? You know, I mean, I feel like it's so cool, and it's such a great just time capsule in a sense too, you know? It's like, just because the quality's so bad.
Yeah. Spin put out a list of an article with a list of performances that should be released on vinyl with for the MTV Unplugged series, along with, it was The Cure, Hole, The Cranberries, Oasis, and a couple other bands. There was only 10 of them.
So those were ones that never have been released on like an album of any sort.
Yeah, they should be released. So yeah.
Well, in great Empire Strikes Back fashion, we want to leave you guys on a very dark note. The Cure did return to the Unplugged world in 2006 to join all our favorites bands, Korn, to mash up the undeniably great song "Make Me Bad" with the mediocre hit that we all feel whatever in between days. You know, why not mash them up?
Masterpiece.
Know? So it pains me to enter Donald's world of negativity, but I can't find one redeeming thing about this performance. I think it's horrible from start to finish. I wish the Cure would do another Unplugged and take it on in a whole different way. But have nothing to do with corn. Yeah, if this was their way back in, it's awful. I don't get what. I'm sorry to any corn fans out there, but that dude's gross.
Slap bass on an upright bass sounds terrible.
Some dude in the background playing one of the instruments had like a horse mask on.
Yeah,
it was
two
really
people.
Weird.
I watched that shit twice to make sure that the drummer and the keyboardist were wearing pig masks or something.
Oh, they were pig masks? Okay, yeah, I was like,
damn, who's wearing a
how
mask?
How could they be into this?
So, yeah.
But still, it gets posted on, like, oh, wow.
Uh-oh. The dogs are out. So that's how we feel about the corn performance. People out there, the worst glitch in Cure history as far as I'm concerned. So
it's up there.
I'm happy to just ignore that it ever happened. I think we could all hopefully just agree that it never actually happened. The sadder part is like watching the little clips where Robert was interviewed, and for whatever the hell reason he's saying this was something that can't be missed. This was a great opportunity. I'm like, whoa, what? No.
He was getting
in my
heart
hope that he was like being bribed or
like there's something there.
The only thing I can think of is that fucking dude from Korn is like so nice. Like he's just like the sweetest dude to hang out with.
Yeah,
despite all his grossy, weird fucking hair and like just body sweat, whatever's coming off of him, he must just be really funny or really sweet or something. And everyone's just like, like that local band that you hang out with just because they're really funny and nice.
You might get some shows from him, and you're like, yeah.
I'm like, I'll do a show with him. He's a good guy. Yeah, he's a good guy. So, I don't know. It still baffles my mind. But you guys feel the same way?
Yeah, it's terrible.
I'm wearing a white Adidas with black stripe jumpsuit with a gold chain right now.
In honor of Korn?
Yeah, I'm like corned out, like the gold chain.
All right. Well, I hate to tell you, man, but we're sending you back to the fucking moon.
I'm going back.
To the next episode.
I'm taking my acoustic.
Get your fucking bongos that I know you have in your
bongos?
house.
I'm taking. Oh, that would be hell. That would be.
Well,
my hell, it was like,
did it to yourself, man.
Bongos.
We're sending you back to the moon with your bongos. Throwing a fucking kazoo in there too.
No, yeah, just a kazoo.
All right, I'm hitting the button.
Kazoo in the moon.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, Chaz. Thanks, Dom. We're sending you off.
I really wish I had a kazoo.
All right, think we're clear, Chaz. You have a good evening. Talk hard. You can listen to over 120 episodes of the Holy Hour podcast on YouTube. That's where you'll find all the old episodes. Go on over there and listen. You can subscribe and catch everything new on iTunes and Spotify and all Google Play. Why not? All that stuff. Go on over to iTunes and find the Holy Hour podcast. And be sure to follow us on the Facebook page where you can get extra tidbits for each episode and comment on each episode. And follow us on the Instagram account of the Holy Hour podcast, where you'll get constant updates and feelers for upcoming episodes so you can contribute too. And on top of that, feel free to drop me a line at gavinconnor@gmail.com if you have any comments, questions, or suggestions for upcoming episodes as well. And be sure to go on over to check out Chaz's Cure shirts at 17secondsshirts.bigcartel.com and see what the latest pre-order is. And on your way out, be sure to go to globalnews.pt where you can find Isabel's Cure podcast in Portuguese. So you might want to learn Portuguese on the way out. But you can go over to globalnews.pt and just search Curosa, where you can hear more great Cure talk in Portuguese, in case you're getting a little sick of hearing it in English. So give it a shot. Until next time. That's it.
What? Which one? Hiro-san.
Yeah, but where does he fit into the story? I don't understand.
He lost, and the pilot find out.
I know, but why is he part of the story anyway?
Why?
Yeah, why does he come into it?
Well, because when I went to Gianna and Anini's tour,
That's
and
her brother.
her brother.
Oh, I see. Right.
That's what I was telling you. And a lot of people knew this news. It was very big news.
Do you love Michael George?
No, I don't think I love him.
I do.
Do you?
Yeah.
Personally, yes, I like him more than I love.